Hi folks, Paul here from TractionTracks.com. Today we're going to put together a little video to show you how to install our tracks. It's a beautiful day in Statesville, North Carolina. Believe it or not, the end of November. You're going to have to forgive the sunglasses or I'm going to squint the whole time. We've been selling our tracks online at TractionTracks.com for about 20 years. We've got plenty of videos there to show the tracks in action. You can check them out on a New Holland. There's some pictures of them on a case. I believe there's an old Gale there. I know there's a cat. But the strange thing is when people think of skid steers, for some reason the first thing that pops in their head is Bobcat, and we realized we haven't done any pictures at all on a Bobcat. So we're going to use a Bobcat today to demonstrate the tracks going on. First thing I want to do is show you the list of the tools. So if you'll give me that camera a minute, I'll show you what you're going to need. You're going to need, first and foremost, either a track jack or some type of tool similar. If you don't have one, you can use a ratchet binder. I actually prefer the track jack, but some people say the ratchet binder does a good job for them. If you're just stuck without either one of those, you can use an old lever style. This is a knuckle buster. Or we also offer online, you're going to have to contact us because I don't think there's any pictures of it yet, a track tool to tighten it. The difference is this one that we sell hooks onto the cleat. These hook on the chain. We'll explain that later. You're going to need a hammer, something to cut the chain with, not bolt cutters, believe us. You're not going to cut that grade 80 chain with bolt cutters. And of course, safety glasses, pair of pliers, and safety first, so make sure you have some jacks and a wheel chuck. Your tracks are going to show up in a couple boxes just like this, and something we are very proud of right there. All our tracks are made right here in Statesville. Tracks are going to weigh in about 100 pounds a box, so let's get the box open and get started. Alright, the boxes come in FedEx. They obviously don't take very good care of the packaging. This one's been around a while, that's why we're doing this. First thing you want to do is pull out your instruction pack. That's going to explain exactly what I'm telling you right now. Second thing you're going to want to do is take a look in here and find these. You'll get two in a box. These are your master links. These master links are a grade 70. We purposely use a grade 70 because our chains you're not going to break. These things are pretty much indestructible. So you're going to need a weak point in case there's ever a problem. We use a weaker grade 70 for the breaking point and also the master link. The first thing you're going to do after you get this thing out is stretch it out straight on the ground. I'll do that next and then we'll get the machine going. Folks, a moment ago when I was opening the packages up, I forgot to mention you're going to also want to make sure, of course, that you order the correct size. The Bobcat 763 that we're working on today has 10 by 16.5 tires, so of course we're using a set of 10 by 16.5 tracks. We also manufacture them for 12 16.5s, 14 17.5s, 8.75s. There's a whole slew of them out there. Just make sure you let us know what you need. Now, the first thing you're going to do is stretch this out, get it nice and flat, make sure there's no knots. As you notice, the track's perfectly straight. Sometimes they get knotted up in the box like this. And obviously you want to make sure you spend a few minutes to get that out. It's like it sometimes, but that's the biggest trick. Now that they're out straight like this, the next thing we're going to do is start up the machine, and I'm going to drive it into the center. Okay, you want to get them flat so you can drive on it. Now we're going to start up the machine and get into the center. Make sure you lift your bucket first, of course, so you don't scoop up the tracks. You'll notice I got to about the center. You're going to want to throw the excess up over the back of the tire. And do the same for the front. I also need to mention something you want to do before you order your tracks is check your clearance between the inside of the sidewall and the body of the machine. On a Bobcat, there's a ton of space, but on some of the machines like the Case 1845C, you're down to about 2.5 inches. That's about the minimum you'll want. The video you see online where we're running through the mud, that machine has 12 16.5 tires. It's a close rub. It rubs a little bit. Now you can cheat and not buy wheel spacers and just invert your rims, and that's the quickest way to get your space, and it's a lot less expensive. Personally, I would rather have a little bit of rub than to make the stance so wide, so on the 1845C I left it that way. If you have less than 2.5 inches, you definitely have to flip your rims. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the bucket to lift the front tire, so we only have 1 cleat or 2 cleats under the back tire, and of course at that point we'll put some stanchions under this, or stands under this rather, because safety first. I'll tell you another secret, folks. It's a lot easier to do this with a helper. But my helper didn't show today, so I'm on my own. Always make sure you put a jack stand under it and wheel chuck under the other side. Next, you're going to grab your track tool or your ratchet binder or whatever you prefer to use. Let's use this is an old military track jack. You want to, with this style, you want to hook the chain just like that, and the same thing back here. Now I will tell you, the first installation is definitely not easy. Anybody that tells you they're going to go on in 2 minutes is lying to you. You want to make sure you take the time to get them on nice and tight. You got to cut off the excess. You have to think before you cut. As long as you think before you cut these things, you will never have more than 3 blank links in between the 2 cleats. If you try to jump on this and go too quickly, you'll make a mistake and then you'll be putting splices in. After the first installation and you drive these things for a little while and they have some break-in time, these things go on a lot quicker. Probably about 15 minutes is about par. To get them off, pull 4 pins, drive right off. That only takes a minute or 2. That's what's really nice about these over-the-tire tracks. Excuse me. You don't lose the ability to drive on pavement, on concrete, all types of things that you really don't want to do with steel tracks. Take them off. You need them, you're out there in the slop, you put them on. I'll have to be back in a minute because I forgot to bring a wrench. Forgot what size it is, so we're going to use Old Faithful. You want to get these tracks on as snug as you possibly can. You don't want any sag between the middle. When you're fully installed, you want to be able to grab the cleats in the center and not be able to have more than about an inch throw tops. When you look at them, you're going to want them to have no sag at all. Another trick some people use is they'll grab a 2x4, they'll cut it to size, they'll rest it from right there to about right there, and that way your tracks are laying on top of it. Rather than you guys watch me tighten that, I'll show you something else too. The tool we also sell, that hooks on the cleat. You can either hook it on there, or best is right inside like that. I don't have it close enough to catch that when I show you. Go right here and I'll show you how it goes. And then you can just tighten this up with a impact wrench or regular ratchet. This style hooks on the cleat, this style hooks on the chain. Get it about as tight as you can, like that. And we're going to hook this. Let's see where we're going to have to cut. That one. For starters, we're going to put the master link in there. And we're going to repeat the same thing on the outside. And then we're going to start over and get a second pipe. As we tighten these, another thing you have to do, and I forgot to tell you this, is grab a hold of this, pull it up, and you can see now I'm ready to get a new bite. Work it around little by little. Another trick, by the way, with pneumatic filled tires is you can let about 50% of air out of the back tire. It's a way to cheat a little bit. I'm not going to do it because to me it's more of a hassle to fill them back up when I'm done. But that does help if you get in a bind and can't quite get that last link. If you're using a ratchet binder, you'll probably want to do that. Alright, and you'll see here I ran out of jack, so what I'm going to do is put the master link in temporarily, take the jack back off, stretch it all the way out, full grip, grab another bite, and start over again until we get these tight. Something else that was popping in my head, as I said, this is a 763. I believe the new models are the 100s. We've put these things on the things as small as the 500s. We put these things actually on walk-behind units, all the way up to the 900 units, which are the new Bobcat S300 series. So size really doesn't matter as long as you buy the proper length track and you buy the proper width cleat to match your tires. We mentioned wheelbase. Let me quickly show you how to measure a wheelbase while I'm thinking about it. Wheelbase is center axle to center axle. Easiest way to get that is to measure from the front of the front tire to the front of the back tire. We're looking at between 41 and 42 on this unit. We make this size track all the way up to 48 inch, so we're more than covered. You can measure center to center, but it's a lot harder. So again, just put your ruler up front, front of the front tire, front of the rear tire, and like I said, 41, 42 inches. You don't have to be precise. We always make them a little bit bigger. If you have smaller units where you end up with like an 8.5 series tire, 8 series, we've actually done them as narrow as 5. When you get into those oddball size tires, we're going to need you to take some measurements for us. When we ask for the footprint, it's right there. On this, it's 9.5 to 10 inches. We're going to ask you for the diameter, obviously it's the height of the tire, and the wheelbase. With those measurements, we can manufacture your tracks accordingly. But for 10/16.5s and for 12/16.5s, they run almost identical on every one. If you have the newer Bobcats with the really wide rim guard, we do ask you to take a quick measurement on the tire just to make sure we get you wide enough. Some of those vary a little bit, normally in the 12 series. Alright, I'm going to get back to tightening this up. When you put your master links in, this is temporary because I'm just, like I said, doing it to tighten the chain up again, but you're going to want your pins to point out, not in like I'm doing right now, so that these cotter keys are not going to rub the tire, just the smooth part of the pin backing will. But again, I'm just putting these in here real quick temporarily so I can get another bite. This is where a helper comes in really nice. It's quite obvious we're going to have to take off at least one link on this set, because like I said, this set of tracks, we make them all the way up to a 48-inch wheelbase, where this machine only has a 41. What I'm going to do, because I don't know if you noticed that or not, but I know this one is going to lose this cleat. If you can, what you're going to want to do is cut this link, because that gives you a spare cleat if you ever need one. Actually, I am going to cut this one. As you've heard me mention many times, my helper didn't show today, so I don't have an extra set of hands here to hold this while I cut it. What I'm going to do is just get the master links and give myself a temporary set of extra hands. You want to be very careful, obviously, while you cut these. This grade 80 chain is a magnesium alloy. It is unbelievably durable. When we first started, we only had access to the typical grade 70 chain that's out on the market that you'll see in chains. Problem with that is when you weld to it, where we add the cleat, it takes the case hardening right out of that style chain, and within 100 hours we were burning through a set. We are now using these grade 80s, and we have had over 1,000 hours on our demo set, and they're still going strong. That was, actually I take that back, that was a 3/8 inch size chain. These are now 7/16, so we should get well over that. That 3/8 set, that one burned out, I think, if I remember right, around 1,100 hours. The new set that we were running on a demo is a 7/16. That's got well over 1,000 and still going. And that's what you're going to get. You're going to get 7/16 chain. All right, let me cut that off and we'll keep going. I don't know if you remember a moment ago, I said I was going to cut this link right here, which is one behind the first, rather. This I highly recommend that you get a helper and you have some type of vise, or at least a good size set of vise grips to hold it in place while you're cutting it. This chain is, it's going to grab this cutter. I know I'm going to have difficulty doing it because I'm short-handed, but we're going to do what we got to do. Surprisingly, that didn't catch and jump like I thought it was gonna. Still gotta cut this back one. That's exactly what I was talking about happening because I don't have a helper. Yep. I'll be right back, folks. I got to change that blade. Okay, guys, new blade. And that actually made me think of something. I didn't mention this earlier. I showed them sitting on the table. I am wearing them, as you can see. Don't forget glasses, obviously, whenever you cut. I've had more trips to the doctors in my life because of these stupid things being left on the bench. It takes 1 second to put them on. Well worth every second. That particular blade that blew up just hit my leg, but it could have got me in the face. Torches work even better if you have them. We do, but we figured we'd do it the old-fashioned way here. May have to take another one. I don't think so. I think that's going to be about perfect for this set. We're going to have to take off this extra chain, but I'll do that last. I'd rather not cut it until I'm 100% sure. You can always add them back on with master links like this, but why bother if you can avoid making the mistake in the first place? There we go. And let's not forget the cut links are very hot. Getting there, a little bit more. There, finally. Alrighty, you can let go now. Alright, we got the inside done, and we're going to take that off. Okay, got the master link set in there. We're going to pull this together, put this master link in here, run the machine a little bit, see if we have to size this up anymore or not. Now I'll show you why we have the hammer. Here we go. Friendly persuasion. I'll tell you another thing about the tracks, something we're proud of. We use only a long link chain. It's designed for side pull. It's designed for tire chain use. It's got a smooth surface, only rubbing on the tires. We end weld, so none of the sharp edges of the cleat are touching the tires. Just if you look, the only thing that comes in contact is the smooth side pull of the chain. And this also lets us 2 inches of weld on the outside as well as 2 inches of weld on the inside. Said this first installation, because you're cutting the tracks and because you haven't done it before, is a pain in the neck, but please take the time to get them on tight. Tight tracks are phenomenal. Loose tracks are horrible. If you don't get these tracks on tight, you are definitely not going to be a happy customer. You take the time to do what I'm doing right now, and you will be very pleased with the difference in the machine. I know you will. We get asked a lot, how long does it take to put them on? And that's a very difficult question. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. The narrower the wheelbase, the longer it takes me. Obviously I don't have room to work in there. Without a helper, it's a real pain in the neck. With a helper, this just to hold the tools even makes a big difference. But once you get good at this, and once they've been broken in, it's not as bad as it seems. It's about a 15-minute install per side. And if you can remember which way's loose and which way's tight, it's a little bit quicker too. You'll see there's no sag. I got about an inch play. They'll probably break in. I'll probably have to take one more link out, but for starters, right like that, I would suggest putting it on there. We're going to run it around a little bit. Obviously I'm going to do the other side first, and then we'll see if we have to tighten them up again. And of course, before I do anything, I got to cut this off. Alright folks, while I put the other side on, it's just a repeat of this. I'm going to stop the camera because no sense in showing it to you twice. As soon as we get them on, we'll show you how they're in action around here. Okay, we got the other side on. You can see here we ran them a little bit, and I got these snugged up an extra link. Sometimes when you put your master link in, it doesn't line up straight. There's not a problem. You can twist the master link. Just always make sure you put these pins out. You never want the cotter pins in against the tire. And then you just wrap them around tight like that. Grab your pliers and cut off the excess. We'll do that for all of them. It's all set. Now come around the other side again. This is the original side. We ran it a little bit, and you can see that these are now hanging down. This side is seated. It's now loose. If you remember a little bit ago, I showed you how tight it is. So what we're going to do is do the same thing we did over there. Take one more link out, and then we should be all set to run the machine. Okay, we got both sides on and tightened up. We've run them, you can see, back and forth a couple times. Got the extra link out. There's no sag. Nice and stiff. And we should be ready to go. Again, you want to make sure you always put your cotter keys out. You want to get the tracks as tight as you can. And that's pretty much it. I hope the video helped. You're going to turn your machine into a real workhorse. Last thing, when you're driving on blacktop, concrete, anything solid like that, you want to try to go nice and slow, straight forward and backwards, no spinning in a dime. The cleats are very aggressive. You'll see they'll mar the concrete as I back up. These things are made for off-road and muddy, slick, snowy, icy conditions. They're great for snow removal, but they just don't like blacktop or concrete, and you'll see why in a moment. As you can see, tracks will mar the concrete. They're designed for off-road use, but as I said, when you need to work on road again, just take them off. Okay folks, that's it. I hope that video helped a little bit. We're not professional video cinematographers. That's quite obvious, but we are professional track makers. We're very proud of this product. We know what it can do. I personally use them daily. We live, if you want to take a quick spin around here, we live on a mini farm. Lots of mud and animal messes to clean up. Well, come back to me now. Anyway, that's it. There are the tracks. We know you'll enjoy them if you get a set. Have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'll make sure we put our website, TractionTracks.com, and our information, email, phone number all below. Thanks. Have a great day.